Have you ever wondered, why do some business coaches fail and others succeed? That's what we're going to talk about on this video training. BJ O'Neill here with Business Coach Mastery. And yes, there is a number one reason why coaches who struggle and fail versus the coaches who win and succeed. We're going to discuss that today. I'm going to give you some things to avoid and certainly some things to do to become successful. Now, if you have you've wondered about starting a business coaching career, maybe you already are doing some type of coaching, or you've got some space, or you want to pull coaching into what you're doing. Maybe you own a business and you want to impact and invest into others. You just don't know where to start. You don't have the resources and tools. Go to businesscoachmastery.com. That's businesscoachmastery.com. You'll see some information there. You can even schedule a quick chat to learn more about how we support coaches with a complete and total done-for-you system in developing a successful and profitable business coaching practice. So let's dive in, all right? So yes, there is this number one thing that the coaches who fail, this is what they do. And I'm going to expose that for you and show that for you. And if you are coaching, and this might rattle you a little bit, but you can use it as a springboard to get out of the rut, to get unstuck, and to move forward. Now, there's three things for context that you have to solve when it comes to growing a profitable business coaching practice, okay? The first, where do I get leads and prospects? What's my process? How do I build solid relationships? As Christian business coaches, that's what our network of Christian business coaches all over the country, that's what we do. We are building solid relationships. We're adding value for the sole purpose to help a business grow profitability. And we do that in strategic ways. But when I'm going to connect with people, meet people, how am I going to do that? Where am I going to go? What am I going to say? What's my message? That's number one. Number two, how do I convert the prospects that I am talking to into ongoing, high-paying monthly clients? And the third, how do I coach them to get results with simplicity? Incredibly important. So every single thing that you do as a coach is going to fall under one of those items. That's what you have to solve for sure to be profitable and to be successful as a coach. So here is the main reason, the number one reason that those who struggle and never get where they want to go, it is because they never create a strategy when it comes to lead generation and building relationships, period. I see it all the time. I have these conversations with coaches all the time. The coaches who are winning have a complete and total ironclad plan to develop relationships, rinse and repeat. I'm going to break this down for you. So again, if you have never coached before, you love making an impact, this definitely needs to be a bell ringer for you, that if you decide to build a coaching business, you have to have a solid plan, ironclad, one that is flexible, as we'll discuss, to be able to build relationships that turn into paid opportunities. If you're currently coaching right now and you don't have a plan, I'm telling you now, this is your moment to get your plan together, to get your actions together, and develop something where you consistently are going to be building relationships. It's not rocket science. You have to have a plan, okay? So let me give you some examples of coaches who struggle. So we talk about having a plan versus not having a plan. This is what not having a plan looks like. So again, if you're thinking about it, don't do this. If you're currently coaching, you got to get out of this if this is what you're currently doing. The coaches who struggle, they're the ones who, because they have a lack of plan, everything they do is random. What they do on a Monday versus a Friday versus a Wednesday, this week to next month, it's completely discombobulated. There is no rhythm. There is no pattern. There's no pattern whatsoever, so it's all random. Inside that randomness is inconsistencies. I might do it today. I might not do anything in the next 4 to 5 days or the next 2 weeks or whatever. They look back and you're like, well, I really got to get, something. And then this inconsistency thing just continues to roll over to one day to the next day to the next week and so on. Indecisiveness, not being able to make a decision. Today, you know what? I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go down and build a relationship solidly with a couple of networking groups in my community. Tomorrow comes, I don't know if I want to do that or not. The next 3 days come, I think I am going to do that. And all of a sudden, that rolls into 2 weeks to 3 weeks because we're not making decisions, okay? And then, worst of all, we are pondering. So there's indecisiveness, and then there's just flat, just kind of thinking about it all the time. Thinking and thinking and thinking and thinking. I think I could do it this way. I think I could do it that way. And you know what? I'm going to plan a top of the mountain retreat with myself, and I'm going to plan, I'm going to plan, I'm going to plan, I'm going to think, and think, and think. And look, I'm not bashing. I'm just simply saying, and we have to spend time in thought and strategy, sure. But at some point, we got to take action. And so those who struggle have little to no activity. And I will tell you, when I get on a phone with a current coach who is struggling, I can promise you almost every single time, very few times is this not the case. When I ask those four things, randomness, inconsistency, indecisiveness, or activity, it's anemic in all of those areas. Few times when a coach is struggling, is it something else? Now, yes, there are other challenges that come into play. There's skills that we have to develop. We have to continue to learn. But usually, it's these things right here. And I'm talking strong about this today because it's avoidable. You can take action and solve these issues. It might not be perfect, and quite frankly, it probably won't be perfect. Why would it be perfect in the very beginning? The entire point is develop plans that are flexible, all right? So let me give you an example. I want to make sure I am hitting this hard so that you really, it rattles your cages, both if you're contemplating starting a coaching business or you are currently coaching. I'm giving you an example of the coach that struggles versus the one that doesn't struggle with the same exact activity. And we'll use networking. It's an easy one, but everybody can wrap their head around for this conversation. So the coach that struggles, I think I'll go to that event, and yet they've not researched the event. They've really not done any due diligence on the networking group. They've not reached out to just, talk to a couple of people and see what the community's like or whatever. Zero research. And so what they'll do is they'll say, you know what? I'm going to develop some relationships and I'm going to go find some clients in a networking group. And they'll go to the networking event with no plan. Like they barely even remembered that it was today. They put it on their calendar, they went to the event, and they barely got there on time. Even in a lot of cases, snagged late. Life happens, I get that, but you get my point. When there's no plan, you're probably not going to have great results, okay? And so they get to the event because there is no plan and they're not prepared. They don't really have any messaging strategy on when they do walk up to people. And so as they begin to interact with people, it's awkward because they don't have a plan. They fumble on their words. There's no strategy and context to building a relationship with those that they're looking for. And they make the mistake of scanning the room, trying to figure out who can become my next client in this room. And that's not how it works at all, right? And so the coach that wins and is successful understands that, number one, and by the way, in our Done For You system, we teach this. We have a complete and total three-phase structured approach to be able to solve this problem. That's why it's called a Done For You system. We've taken the guesswork out of all of the stuff that you got to think about. So one, you want to do some research about the event that you're going to or the networking group. Is this the right one for me? And sometimes we don't know officially, and we do need to go and check things out. But we go with intentions. We go with plans. We are showing up there prepared with a messaging strategy, how I'm going to shake somebody's hand, what I'm going to say, the questions I'm going to ask, how I'm going to interact with them, because my number one goal in this case is to build a relationship. It is not to find a client, because networking at its truest, and this is not just about networking, but I want to give you context. It's about expanding your relationships and expanding the people that you need to get to know, because those people in that room may be the catalyst to introducing you to the people that you do know. And sure, there may be some clients in that room or they become clients over time. But when we have an incorrect view and lack of plans, that's the reason why those who have strong plans and then they're flexible. In other words, they learn things as they begin to do it and they do it more. They learn a little bit more, they build relationships, and I can't stress enough that if you're going down the networking path, you have to have the right camera angle, if you will, the right perspective as to what the purpose of that networking event truly is, okay? See the difference? No plans, no zero thought about it, just showed up, whatever. This one over here, who's successful, all kinds of plans, prepared, message strategy, and they have a call to action ready to go to move someone to the next level. It could be deepening the relationship. Like in our case, we offer an assessment for business owners. It could be that. Rarely is it that immediately to book, an assessment type of thing or an appointment like that. But it happens. It certainly can. That's why you want to be prepared, okay? And so I'm going to give you one more example. The coach that struggles, who says, I'm going to do a miniature workshop, if you will, have a few people in a room around a conference room table, maybe 5 to 12 people, versus the coach who is prepared. The coach who is not prepared randomly invites people. They don't really have a strategy of how they're going to reach out. They have a few people they know over here and a few people they know over there. And it's just kind of very lackluster. All right. They have an unprepared room that they've not really thought about. They didn't double check and have backup plans should the monitor not work, their computer not work. And these things happen. Cables fail, monitors fail. Like, what are you going to do if the monitor behind you that you're going to do your slide deck on goes out? It absolutely happens. I've had it to happen to me many times. Computers fail. Like, what's your plan? You got to have a plan. You got to think through these things. So the coach who struggles has zero thought about that whatsoever. Okay. And then everything is just cold. It's stale. They've not worked on their presentation. They've not worked on their facial expressions. They've not worked on how do I, become a connector so that the few people that are in a room, how do I introduce them well so that they view me as a connector? What's my call to action at the end of this? How am I going to take them to the next? Because there's been very little planning and preparedness. It doesn't work. And the worst thing is they only planned one. And because that first one didn't go well, they don't do it again. That didn't work. So moving on to the next thing. Look, you might have to try something 2 or 3 times for it to work. And that's the reason why those who succeed have a different mindset, they have a different tenacity, and they're not going to let that type of distraction happen. Here's what happens with the coach that is prepared. Again, in our Done For You system, we've solved this by helping you plan these types of things. How to invite people well, booking multiple events so that somebody who can't come to this one, you can automatically book them to the next one, right? You have practiced your presentation. You are refining your speaking skills. You are refining your ability to build solid relationships and how to connect other people and care about them. And you're developing your empathy of listening so that you really get to the root problems and the root challenges of what a business owner may be going through. And then you've got your pitch and your call to action at the end of what you're going to want them to do next down like crazy. Like it's not awkward. It's just smooth. It's effortless, and they feel confident. They feel comfortable. They see you as a guide. That's the person who is well prepared. And then they made the decision that I'm going to, because I've made a plan, that I'm using, live events, a small little workshop with just, again, a few people in a room. I'm going to do this and do this well. Therefore, I'm going to do one per month for the rest of the year, or whatever that rhythm looks like. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to learn from each event and apply what I've learned and put it to the next. So that the first one that I do, it absolutely likely will be very different than the fourth one that I do because of repetition. So, your action items, number 1, is to understand mindset-wise, I must have a plan. I cannot be random. I cannot be indecisive. I have to choose today. Choose 1 to 2 areas where I'm going to build relationships, workshops, networking, LinkedIn, my sphere of influence. So people in my current network, how I sit down with you've got to make a decision. Only a few people can run paid traffic well. It's a very difficult thing to do. If you're going to do that, you need to get, if you have no experience, you need to get an agency to run those ads for you. I don't want to get into that, but sure, you can run paid marketing, but get ready to light some money on fire for the first few months until you work that out too, because nothing is just automatic. You don't just do it and it just happens. You learn through the the functions, okay? So again, your action item is making a decision on choosing one or two areas, and then the mindset is to master these areas. You go to the networking event, it's the wrong group, then leave it and go somewhere else, right? Did the workshop, nobody showed up. Do it again. One time is not enough. 2 times, 3 times is not enough. You got to refine the process, and become consistent. And those coaches who do this are the ones that will win, and they'll win every single time. We see it in our community all the time. Brand new coaches who come out, follow the process, follow the coaching, follow the plan. They get clients within their first 30 to 60 days. It happens all the time. And then we have coaches who struggle to get them in 4 or 5 months. And every time, the one who struggles is the one who has no plan, they're not following the process, and they're just incredibly random, and they get zero effort in deciding things. So, a little bit of a preaching session today, but I want to encourage you, I really do, that if you want flexibility in your life, if you want to make a good living and a profitable living, whatever that number looks like for you, and you love making an impact and investing into helping businesses grow their profitability in their businesses, you've got to have a plan. You got to have consistency. You got to rinse and repeat and do it again and do it again and do it again. All right. I hope that helps. Again, if you're looking for information, go to businesscoachmastery.com. Until next time, take care.